Hey y'all, Coach in the Fight here with a better late than never. Our Father in heaven just brought me back to this picture that I was looking for when I was doing a class on the subject peace and safety. I just published that class, even though I didn't have the picture that I was looking for. But I just found it and I wanted to show you guys something that was kind of missing from that video. And that's this image here. It's coming from a book called The Time Chart of History of the World, 5th edition. And I found this image of the book over there on the web, and you can see the title that it popped up under if you wanted to search Google and find it for yourself. But I was trying to show you in here a particular part dealing with when Israel went into captivity. And it's coming out of this section over here. So let me zoom in on it right quick and show you something. All right, instead of going in and redoing that whole class, I'll just go ahead and show you what it was that I was trying to show you in that other video. And here, what this is a um, basically a history. It says it's over 6,000 years of world history, and it shows what has happened to mankind as far as its rulers and its governments from Adam all the way to Obama, pretty much. And you see right in this section here how the children of Israel, who are in this part right here, are going into captivity. You see them up here, but you also see them down here where they're going into captivity. Now, if you remember the story, you had Jerusalem, who were under tribute to Babylon at the time. They were under tribute to Nebuchadnezzar. But the thing about it, the king of Jerusalem, he was doing something that wasn't pleasant for Nebuchadnezzar, and Nebuchadnezzar actually went in and sacked Jerusalem. He went into the temple, he stole all of the sacrificial materials that they had. They were made out of gold and silver, and he took all of that stuff back into Babylon. That's the same stuff that his grandson Belshazzar was drinking out of with his concubines and his wives, and he saw the handwriting on the wall right before the Persians took him over, the Medo-Persians took him over, and that's what you see right here in this picture, the transition from Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom to this new kingdom over here. That happened right there in that area. But what I wanted to show you was this part right here. All right, zooming in pretty close to right here. This is what I couldn't zoom in on that other picture that I had, but it's talking about the 70 years of captivity and how they lasted from 606 to 536 AD. So it was in 606. I said AD, but it was actually BC. It was in 606 BC that Nebuchadnezzar went into Jerusalem and took the daily sacrifice. So let's come over here to Daniel. Let me show you something. Let's remember this date 606, and let's come over here to the book of Daniel. Let me show you something. Right here in verse 11, you remember Daniel was writing this book around the same time as they was in this captivity time. Daniel was one of the people that was taken captive, and he had a dream or a vision that he didn't understand, and so he had to go to the angels who came back in chapter 12 and helped him to understand. And you look right here in verse 11, it says, "And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days." All right, so now we recognize those to be years, not days, but years. And so when we put in 606, we have to put in negative 606 because it's BC, and we add 1,290 years, and we also have to add an additional year because there was no year zero. The Messiah wasn't born in year zero. He was born in year one. The year zero did not exist. So we have to add another year to bring us to 685. And you say, well, what happened in the year 685 that would correspond to the abomination that maketh desolate? That's the Dome of the Rock that was actually put in place of the temple. In 606, they went in and took the utensils, the golden and silver utensils that was used to make um, to do the daily sacrifice. But by 685, they had altogether destroyed that temple and destroyed the second temple. And now they're actually going to build a whole different temple to a whole different god on that site. This is the temple built by Omar. They kind of started building it way back in 637 or something like that. But they didn't actually get it built, or didn't actually get it up to where they had a rock in a dome of the rock until 685 AD. All right. So let's go back to the book of Daniel. This is going to get real interesting. So we come back to the book of Daniel and we look at the next verse. Blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,305 and 30 days, or 1,335 days. So let's look what happens when you put that in. All right. So we come back over here to our calculator. We're starting in the year 685 when the Dome of the Rock was built there on the Temple Mount. And we're going to add 1,335 days, or 1,335 years. And what do we get? The year 2020, which of course is the year that our beloved president, Donald Trump, is going to be issuing his peace deal that he's so proud of. This is a peace accord, or the Middle East peace treaty that we've been waiting for almost 70 years now, between the nation of Israel and the Palestinians over there. But of course, when he issued this, or when he talked about this peace deal, he invited Netanyahu, but he didn't invite Mahmoud Abbas, who is very disappointed in this peace deal and said it would never work. All right. So from what I've been able to hear from from what has been talked about so far, the phrase peace and safety was never talked about, which is important, and let me show you why. Okay, so because you look over here in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3 says, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So that's why a lot of people are paying very, very close attention to the words that Mr. Trump says, is because of this phrase, peace and safety. The Bible is very accurate, we find out, and if he does say this phrase, peace and safety, then we can very well look forward to this sudden destruction. Now, how sudden is sudden destruction? Daniel was pointing us to the year 2020 for some reason. And let me show you this. I have to come over to my big reference Bible over here, and when I look at 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 3, the reference points me to Isaiah chapter 13, 6 through 9. It says, Howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt, and they shall be afraid. Pains and sorrows shall take hold of them. They shall be in pains as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, cruel both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. So now, is this the sudden destruction that's being talked about over there in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5? Well, I hope not. This doesn't sound very pleasant at all. But, the word is the word, and we know this day is coming. So, I kind of want to give you guys a heads up. The scripture talks about how powerful our prayers are and how powerful our thoughts are. And some of this stuff we can control with our prayers and with our thoughts. So let's go ahead and start sending up our prayers and our thoughts for our world leaders. I pray particularly that their actions will result in peace. Not that their words will say so, because we don't want them to be talking about peace and safety too much. but the actions that they take, we pray that those will result in peace. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and close this out. I don't want to make it last too long. If you got something out of it, go ahead and hit the like button. If you didn't get anything out of it, or you disagree what's talked about here, go ahead and hit the dislike button if you want to. But leave a comment either way, and pray for me.